Well, let's talk about where we
end
end up.
That anyway, still.
We have the story from Fox. Multi-state shooting spree was racially motivated. Suspect was targeting white men.
Oh, this guy.
Gunman allegedly said, "I had to have him," about one of the shooting victims. What happens when you have a psychotic and irresponsible or corrupt, so just get corrupt, media infrastructure, where many of these people know they're lying? How do I know they know they're lying? Because I worked for some of these companies. I've spoken with the higher-ups of these companies who flat out said, this is what we do. We just side with the audience. Give them what they want to hear. You end up with paranoid, delusional, psychotic individuals. And you end up with people whose lives are garbage, going on a shooting spree, targeting white people simply because he says that all my life, my problems were caused by these white people. They're bullies. So he just had to go out and do it. And then when you see Black Lives Matter burning down buildings and destroying cities, the media lies about it. When you see Antifa engaging in a year-long campaign of mass destruction and rioting, low-level terror across the country, the media lies about it. And then what do you get from your federal government? You get U.S. lays out plan to confront white supremacist violence. What? I read CNN and Fox News, okay? I read all these left-wing outlets and right-wing outlets, and I couldn't tell you how many times there's been literal white supremacist violence. I mean, I couldn't tell you specific instances. I could name tons of different instances where the left is engaged in overt political terroristic violence. Oh, I get it. What's that, Reuters? They have a picture of the Capitol. What else do you have? That's it.
I mean, a lot of times too, these things that are labeled as white supremacy, there's no evidence of white supremacy, and the only way that you can say that the left can claim that they're white supremacist is by going with this idea of unconscious bias. So we don't have any evidence that says, Chauvin was being white supremacist when he killed George Floyd in Minneapolis last year, but this is now touted as a white supremacist thing. The people who were involved in the Capitol riot, most of them were bankrupt primarily.
This is what we're seeing with, I was mentioning this crazy guy who's like screaming, Ron DeSantis banning critical race theory is fascism. Oh, geez. They're conflating classical liberalism with fascism on purpose. Any authority that can be used as an example of fascism will be, even when it's not. Authority is not bad. It's not inherently evil. Exploitation of an authority position is a bad thing. But a cop issuing an arrest? No, if you violate the social construct, the agreements we have with one another, then you face the penalties of that.
That's the thing. If you read the really woke rags that talk about this stuff, the way they define white supremacy is really innocuous elements of Western culture, like being on time and
right.
objective, objective thinking,
objective reality is considered to be white supremacy.
No, literally,
holding down a job.
But the thing that just triggers me so much about this is growing up after 9/11 and watching this happen with Islam, where Wahhabi Islam was conflated with Islam, and then that was used as a precursor to do whatever the Pentagon and intelligence agencies wanted to do wherever they wanted to do it, and we were all freaked out and didn't know what we were looking at and believed them and trusted them and kind of gave them carte blanche to do whatever.
Yep.
And this just totally triggers me because it brings me right back to listening to newscasts in 2002, 2003, and I can just hear it, but you've switched out the terms, and I feel like we're careening toward carte blanche on Western culture.
We're being gutted
instead of the Middle East.
We're being gutted of core classical liberal American values. This play from the Biden administration to target domestic terrorism is that they're just going after, we're going after militias.
Right.
What they've started doing in the media is they started saying, if you are a right-wing group that believes in bearing arms and being a militia, you're white supremacist. Yeah. Even though it's ridiculous, many of these guys just are like, yay, America. Now the federal government is going to start spying on these people and going after them and bring the war on terror to our soil.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
And we're going to end up with mass surveillance of Americans.
Yeah, we already had that. And the war on terror is literally turning domestic right now as we're speaking. Glenn Greenwald wrote an article today that is titled, "The New Domestic War on Terror Has Already Begun, Even Without the New Laws Biden Wants." And what you brought up about this latest operation, a multi-agency operation by the U.S. government, it's also going to be working very closely with social media companies. And their main goal is to ID prosecute, and to deter white supremacy and militia members. And again, those are extremely vague terms. Who do you consider a militia? Who do you consider a white supremacist? We've seen those terms bastardized. We see those terms almost become meaningless because of how many times it was used on absolute nonsense. And did the government specify exactly what groups, what specific individuals will be targeted here? Nope. They're keeping it very vague, which means that they could use this big power grab to do whatever they want. And that's exactly what they did with 9/11. They used this whole war on terror objective to go after the American people. They set up the infrastructure. They set up the jails. They set up the cameras. They set up the gun pointed at the American people. And now it looks like they're going to be acting on it. And it should terrify people, especially with what the ATF is doing as well.
It makes you glad that Mitch McConnell kept Merrick Garland out of the Supreme Court, because he's going to be out as soon as Biden's out. But if he was in the Supreme Court, he'd be there for the rest of his life.
That is absolutely 100% correct. I think we need nonviolent civil disobedience and mass noncompliance.
What does that look like?
That looks like people in conservative areas not spending money on companies that hate them, that support any of the stuff.
So you're calling to use leftist tactics against the left?
Is it a leftist tactic to be
mass corporate boycotts? I don't see any problem with that. I don't
think it's a leftist tactic.
No, I think it's interesting because we were looking at this with regard to critical race theory too. There was an article in NBC today about how parents should not, parents groups are basically funded by dark money and conservative think tanks, and that's why they're going after school boards to try and get rid of critical race theory in schools, and they're sort of decrying this. And it's like, yeah, we're using your grassroots tactics now. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't think it's leftist though, because I don't think of it as an organized effort. I think it's quite literally just don't buy Coca-Cola. I jokingly bought RC. Not that like the parent company for RC is. I didn't buy those.
I did.
Yeah, why did you buy those? Breaking the rules.
I just needed Coke. Sorry.
No, you see, this is the problem. Coke literally has woke indoctrination, and when you go to the store, you just don't care. And so what happens is we are passively. I bought RC Cola, and I bought a small business like pure cane sugar, not high fructose corn syrup trash.
Little Pops.
They're cute.
So there's also Pepsi over there, to be honest. But
true.
this is the problem. Coke can do it, and conservatives just don't care. They don't care, and they're willing to keep throwing their money at people who hate them.
Well, it's kind of hard. I mean, honestly, I agree with you. Obviously, I totally agree with what you're saying, and that's fair. You vote with your dollar, but it's just exhausting to be so wound up all the time. It's exhausting to have to think about keep up with what. Like at one point, I wanted to boycott Netflix. I forget what my grievance was at the time. It was a couple years ago.
Cuties?
And no. It was way predated.
Big
Cuties.
Mouth.
I don't remember.
But
They produced some kind of something that I figured was propaganda, and decided I was done with Netflix. And it's just exhausting. Because
was it the Cuties? Is that what you just said?
No, way before. But you start kind of building up a repertoire of companies that you're just not dealing with anymore, and at a certain point you end up just kind of hurting yourself
just
because
giving
there's
in.
nothing you can do.
Just giving up and giving in. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yes, the fight against tyranny is exhausting, and I guess most people eventually just say, I'd rather not fight at all. Please, master, just give me a piece of cheese and I will do whatever you say. That's what's happening. We watched our government shut down and destroy small businesses, mass print money, devaluing our own savings, and then we were forced to shop at big box stores and Amazon while our opinions were filtered through the machine of social media with insane garbled nonsense. Now,
I will say, living in Brooklyn, in a heavily immigrant community, I was still able to shop at local businesses that were owned by families in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
During the pandemic, and I appreciate that.
What we're trying, so a lot of people are like, Tim, why are you still on Twitter then? Look, we're trying to leverage the networks to the best of our abilities to get people to go to timcast.com, to build a website, to hire people, to build stuff there. Basically, I'll put it this way. It is the exodus. We're not going to just cut off our nose to spite our face. We're going to say, okay, we will use what we can of the system we have, but we're packing our bags and leaving. That's part of the process. That's why we're setting up more and more at timcast.com. That's why we're doing our own original articles, because I'm trying to get away from the broken system and build something on our own. It's not something you can do overnight, but we can get started. Okay, so to be fair, maybe you don't start by boycotting literally everything on the planet, but Stick to it. I canceled my Disney Plus because of the thanking of the Xinjiang paramilitary group that has the Uyghur Muslims. I'm like, I'm not going to support that. Granted, unfortunately, to be completely honest, I paid for a year up front. So, but I don't have Netflix and I don't have Hulu. I'm done. Like Hulu did something about cultural appropriation, and there's a period where I was like, I'm not going to boycott. I don't care about this. I don't want to get involved. And then I changed and I said, look, if your company wants to get involved in the culture war, by all means, go ahead and do it. I'm out. I don't want to play that game. So I bought, jokingly, RC Cola, but RC's parent company, I believe, signed on to the statement about Georgia's voting laws. It's really hard to get away from.
Yeah,
The thing with the voting laws is infuriating because you have celebrities coming out and the full president coming out saying that these are Jim Crow laws. And if you actually take a look at the bills, they are merely rescinding the pandemic era allowances to make voting easier specifically due to pandemic restrictions. So it's not that they're Jim Crow. I mean, obviously they're not Jim Crow laws, and they're not limiting voting. In fact, in several of these cases, they are expanding early voting. They're just pulling the things that are ripe for fraud.
They're just taking more and more. And unfortunately for the right, or whatever you want to call it, left and right is meaningless in a lot of ways. The left, we'll use it as a tribal signifier, is just really good at this. And the right is really, really bad at it.
Well, it's because we've ceded culture to the left, and that has to stop. We have to,
Right.
I mean, it's like you were talking about. You're making your own culture. You're making your own cultural products. The Daily Wire is doing that.
Yep.
The book that I'm writing is about, how to make a conservative culture movement. And I have a lot of great ideas on how to do that. I'm actually super excited about it. But this is what people need to be doing. Look at Gina Carano. She's out there just like, I don't need your Mandalorian. I can do my own projects.
We need to get to the point where we can be self-sustaining with our own versions of products that work. Maybe the solution is someone should start a cola company that's not Coke, and they can call it Conserva Cola. I don't know, something dumb and really obvious.
And Twitter can go create their own Nigeria.
Absolutely. I understand the problem is that, when you try to make your own Twitter or network, we try to escape the system and build your own companies, they come after you and shut you down. We've
totally seen that.
We started a vlog, Cast Castle. And the reason the way I explain to people is it's very simple. We got a video where we're like skating in the garage skate park. There's a Gadsden flag in the background. That way, some young person who's watching the fun skate video with some, pro BMXer or pro skateboarder, they'll see that. They'll recognize it. And then when their teacher lies to them and is teaching critical race theory garbage and says the Gadsden flag is white supremacist, they'll say, that's not true. I watch a guy on YouTube who's got that. You're lying. That's what they did with PewDiePie. When the media kept trying to claim PewDiePie was racist and all that, he had a legion of fans saying, that's not true. You're lying about PewDiePie. I'm a fan. So we got to build culture. We can't just sit here and be like, it's bad they did this. We've got to do something else. So you know what? I'm actually we've been planning this for a while to do our own sodas. We're going to have our own Timcast sodas. You call these companies, they do formulas, then they will make a specific flavor and then send it to a manufacturing plant. They're not very big corporations that do it.
That's even better.
And then we're going to have our own soda. And then I'll get a little vending machine and we'll make Luke's old-timey sarsaparilla. How's that sound, Luke?
Or butter beer.
Luke's old-timey butter beer. There you go. Harry Potter fan, right?
I was just in Orlando, so.
Why?
Did you
went to the Harry Potter
go?
thing?
It was awesome.
Confession.
Did you go?
It's a confession. Yes, I did.
What's
it was
butter?
so
What
great.
is
I
butter
went this
beer?
year too. It was awesome.
They have to put like crack in there or something because it's
good.
What is
good. It's this beer that's butterscotch and just soda. It's not really beer. There's no most beers have fluoride in it. There's no alcohol or fluoride in it. I hope, but it's just it's my guilty thing that
Butterscotch soda?
Yeah, that it was good, and the rides were fun.
They were so fun.
I was a normie. I was a normie for a little bit.
I had so much fun doing that with my kid. We got the
the
wand and we did the whole.
Yeah,
it was
it
awesome.
was fun. That was fun.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry, I'm going off topic here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
watch. You know, people can do. It's like buy books from writers. Michael Knowles' book came out. You've got Andy Ngo's book, Unmasked. You've got Michael Malice's book. You've got Jack Posobiec's book. Buy those books so that on Amazon they hit the top of the charts. Show people. And another thing too is like on YouTube when they thumbs down these videos and the White House is forced to take down their ranking system and comments, that makes a statement. But it's things like that. That's good. There's got to be more to it. Voting with your dollars is very important.
It's funny when you watch the YouTube videos of the White House press conferences, and there's so many less viewers than there were like a year ago.
Well,
or 2 years ago even,
Another aspect that's
funny.
critically important is voting with your attention, deciding what you will incentivize. Are you going to turn on Netflix, or are you going to turn on independent media? Are you going to go after and seek it and seek information that, of course, is going to be valuable? No one said personal responsibility was easy. Personal responsibility is about learning yourself the importance of liberty, of freedom, of being reliable on yourself. And that journey is an amazing one. You could live a journey where you could literally live in a pod, eat the bugs, be a total slave of the establishment, be, imprisoned by the algorithm in your own head, or you could live a life of exploring, discovering, and when you truly do put yourself on this path, which starts with your ideas, with you just deciding to think about good, beautiful, positive things that you could have for yourself. When you put yourself on this pathway, life is so much more adventurous. It's so much more awesome. It's so much more amazing. Yes, it's easy to sit on your butt, be a couch potato, eat your GMO, Monsanto, corn down your pie hole. You could do that all you want.
You know what? It's not that easy because it makes you depressed.
Does anybody watch zombie movies and just go, man, I wish I was the zombie?
Yeah.
That's apparently what's happening right now with so many people in these cities.
Wow.
It's not easy. It's institutionalized. It's what people are expected to do, and when they are in there, they're miserable. And when they're miserable, when they're depressed, when they have anxiety, then they need to buy more useless crap to fill the empty void within themselves. And that's why I think there's been such a huge agenda to break up the family unit, to make sure that people are individualized, to make sure that they're going to be easily prey for the larger corporate establishment.
Once you break up the family unit, which is a natural grouping, right? Once you break that up, you can siphon individuals into separate identity groups, and then you can work on equity between groups, and then that's how we have Marxist infiltration of American democracy.
Exactly, and that's why a lot of Marxist organizations, even BLM, officially called for breaking up the family unit, because it's integral to let their brainwashing get through to individuals.
Stalin did that. This is how you do it. First, you make it so that you don't have any idea who you can trust.
And that's why in Poland they attacked the churches. The churches were very instrumental with fighting back against communism, which my family was a part of doing. And the family unit, I think a lot of people have it misconstrued. Yes, there's a lot of bad things, but it's not like they weren't there before. We're just realizing that this exists. The veil is unraveling, and what it is, it's providing an opportunity for people to actually see the world for what it is and not become victim of the larger traps laid out in front of them. And I think this is an amazing thing that's happening, and I think people are finally deciding, waking up and making the decisions that are right for themselves. And if they're not, I mean, personal responsibility means you're responsible for yourself, and I think we need to teach people that more and incentivize and make people understand that at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself and nobody else is, and no one's going to come to help you. No one's going to go out of their way to make sure you're in a good position unless you do it for yourself.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.